Yo, what is good, y'all? Welcome back to Cardinalytics and Arizona Cardinals podcast, hosted by fans for the fans. Here on this Tuesday, July 30th, with my guys again. You already know who I am, Corey_Cards. Here with my guys again, Jake, Kyler, Murray Wins, Shad, Big Shot 11. We're excited to join you guys back for season 2 of Cardinalytics podcast. Been a couple months off, couple weeks off. Letting the off season rest, letting us rejuvenate. But we are back and ready to tackle this season, just like our Arizona Cardinals. I'll let my co-hosts introduce themselves. How you guys doing today?
Doing
Hey,
good.
I'm doing great, man. These training camp videos got me lit.
Yeah.
1,000%. Me as well. Like I said, I was just sharing with them off camera that, or off air, I should say, that this is a time that we wish we lived in AZ. We would definitely be at every practice linked up, enjoying the content that everybody's taking. So anybody that's out there in AZ, we appreciate you. We're enjoying your content. All our beat writers, all our media teams out there, appreciate everybody sharing that content. And our goals are looking great. We can't wait to talk about early camp thoughts and a couple of things that we're noticing from our players, especially some of our rookies, especially Maserati Marv. What's up with you, Marv? Happy to have you on the team. I will say that every day. If it needs to be said on every podcast, I am thankful for Marvin Harrison Jr. So until he might sell us a game here and there, but hopefully he doesn't get to that point. But yeah, so let's just chop it up. Let's get back into this off-season talk. I know the last time we joined you all on a podcast here, we were talking about the draft recap. That was one of our best recorded episodes to date. So appreciate everybody that showed up on that one. But yeah, since the offseason, we've been taking our rest as well as our Cardinals, but our Cardinals, I should say, have not been taking their rest. A lot of stuff has been going on. Schedule dropped. We got a lot of news, just stories about some of the players and some of the teams. More specifically, one Kyler Murray, who seems to be taking the next step, whether it would be maturity and or leadership with his team. And he mentioned it in his presser the other day. And I'll get into a couple of those things that he mentioned as well. And you can kind of tell how he feels about those things. But any quick little off-season things that you guys had, maybe before we get into something deeper, maybe like the schedule release or something like that. But any quick off-season notes that you guys may want to talk about before we get into maybe the schedule?
Nah, I just feel like the vibes this year have been just so much of a 180 compared to years past. Like from the clips coming out with Kyler, taking his teammates to the Mavs game and stuff like that, and them hanging out and going on the baseball field and doing all that stuff. Everybody, it's just positive vibes around the organization, from the players to the coaches, to the fans. I mean, it's so refreshing compared to last year and even the year before that. It's just so refreshing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think it was cool to see, and just via Kyler posting stuff on TikTok, going to Oklahoma, and kind of seeing the statue, taking the guys there, going on the baseball field, taking BP, seeing Connor whiff and Paris not make contact with the ball. And you're just seeing the guys cracking up with each other. I think it's great to see because at the end of the day, obviously us as fans buy into this shit so deeply.
Yeah.
But you got to see too, and I don't know, you see instances. I mean, Larry Fitz was obviously just an anomaly, but a lot of these guys you think give a shit about the city, the team, and oftentimes they really don't. It's just it's their job. Just the three of us, our jobs. If we were to get sent somewhere else or something, it's your job at the end of the day. Obviously, have attachments to some people, some guys more than others. So it's nice when you see something like that where it's all right, these guys are here on their own power in the off season. It's not mandatory. They all went with Kyler to Oklahoma. They went to the playoff game. They went with Kyler to UCLA. Dude, and I don't know if you guys saw the photo that came out from that, but there was 12 guys there.
And it was everybody.
Bro,
literally every skilled player was there.
Yeah, it was everybody.
Crazy. Even guys that might not even make the team. Majority of the guys in that picture, if not all of them will, but dude, that was the thing to note there is that was during their time off in between OTAs and camp. And now that we're in camp, obviously, don't have to tell you guys, but to any of our viewers watching, it's from here on out, it's all the way to January. So for those guys to like kind of like all get together and head out to UCLA together, like during their scheduled time off, I think is like extremely telling about like the camaraderie, not only the camaraderie, but like the drive and the motivation that this team has to like grow together, like kind of like get tighter together and you know, like be playing playoff football like later on in the season. So that was huge to see. And also too, like Michael Wilson sitting down with Dave Pasch had spoken to the fact that Kyler paid for everything to like put them out there, and he like had a chef there who was like cooking them meals, and apparently they were competing with each other with anything and everything from the time they woke up to the time they went to bed. So I don't know. I just think it's great to see, and like this is leagues ahead of where we were last year. So that's all I got to say as far as the off season goes.
Well, I mean, staying on that topic, Shar, how do you feel about that whole ordeal, and you know what has come of that? You know, players have mentioned what kind of steps they feel like Kyler Murray has taken in leadership and maturity by doing something like that, and just overall, just being a guy that like a lot of it. Yes, it could have been. You know how we go on social media nowadays, and we're always looking for the off season, who's doing this, who's doing that. Kyler Murray is very quiet with it until the video, like until the couple TikTok videos came out, and or you know the one big picture came out. So just what was your takeaways from that? And then I'll get into it as well. But what were your takeaways from that?
I feel like, I mean, we always know like what type of guy Kyler is. Like the media has spun him to be this like arrogant kid, like who doesn't study and like doesn't like, you know, take shit serious. Like we all know like he's a good teammate. Like, I mean, you've had interactions with him, like he's a good person. I just think that this year, you know, he's more comfortable. Like year 2 now, like especially with Gannon around, like he probably feels, you know, a lot more comfortable than he did going into last year. Like I just feel like with the combination of like the security of like having like coaching around him, like consistent coaching, no big changes, same guys around him from like the running back room, receiver room. I mean, you throw in Marv, but like everybody loves Marv. You know what I'm saying? Marv can say no wrong.
Right.
So like, you know, I just think he's just more comfortable this year, and it's shown like with the, you know, the Instagram posts, the more like the more active he's been on social media and stuff, and like the TikToks he's been putting out been fire. Like the the TikTok that he put out with like the baseball when they went to OU, like that shit was hard. That shit was hard. Yeah.
And it's just, you know, it's refreshing to see, obviously, like, and that was a big thing. I mean, you guys probably remember. I don't know if you guys probably do remember this story, but like when Carson Palmer kind of mentioned how Kyler, I don't know I don't remember if it was Carson Palmer or Kurt Warner, but it was one of them saying kind of how taking that mantle of maturity and leadership, doing things like that was kind of the stepping stone that they wanted to see him take. And he's choosing to now take it. Like you mentioned, the security around him. And he mentioned it in his presser the other day, just the age difference that it was that he felt like it was coming into the league versus what he has now is night and day, and it's more relatable guys. And even with him getting older, you know, he can relate to some of the things that some of the guys are going through as well. So just like you said, the comfortability and just overall, like knowing what you have around you is in somewhat stable shape or stable form, that makes a huge difference in everything. And I'm in love with the Kyler Murray that we're getting in terms of the person. Like, obviously the player can be judged in any standpoint of it, but just the person in general, like, and a lot of it, I don't know if you guys have noticed, like, but a lot of that, let's get rid of Kyler Murray talk, and he might not be good enough for us, and franchise quarterback, this, that, at least from our fan base, has gone away. Like, it's instantly gone away for some reason. Like, now it's all about team. What can the team do? What can this person do? And so that's just for me refreshing to see, because now you have a fan base that sees what it's like to have a Josh Dobbs who's a mediocre quarterback or an average quarterback versus having Kyler there and winning more games all season than you did with just that one player. So I'm really proud of him. Obviously, like it's a maturity standpoint. We aren't the person that we were when we're 20 versus when we're 25, 26. So
because this is what his like
obvious.
Fifth, 6th year.
Time is flying. He's in year 6. Remember when, like we always said, remember when he was a rookie, but time is flying where he's in year 5 or year 6, and it's just like instantly in a flash. And as he mentioned, like the ACL for him, that entire injury ordeal was just one of the biggest things away, because now you see that he mentions every time about, especially in pressers, he mentions about how the game can be taken away and how quickly it goes away. So just having that around him, I feel like has been a huge boost for that, as well as the players, like you mentioned. Like obviously Marv is a good guy, but like Michael Wilson, like that's a educated young man who had nothing to do with Kyler Murray outside of being his teammate. But then you now realize how good of friends, how close and tight knit they are. Obviously, James Conner's been there for a while, but you can see how close those two are together. Just in personality and on competitiveness and how they want to approach themselves on the football field. Greg Dortch, the list goes on, honestly. Paris.
And it's nothing but like hard workers around like
Exactly.
Kyler, or just in that group, like in general.
Exactly.
Like when people talk about Marv, they talk about, oh, he's always putting in the extra work. When they talk about Michael Wilson, same thing, always putting in the extra work. Greg Dortch, he's putting the extra work coming from where he's came from as an undrafted guy. And like James Conner, like him too, like
always
coming from where he came
work.
from. Yeah, always. So like I feel like that like you said, that maturity around him and like that environment around him, like honestly, it's a perfect group of guys right now. Like just really perfect group of guys. No egos, no none of that. Like everybody's just tucking their head down working.
And you can do nothing but shout out Monty for bringing in players, and Monty and JG for bringing in players that all have the same type of all have the same type of
it ain't working for you
makeup
today,
to themselves. So, your little thumbs up.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not working anymore.
But yeah, so I'm just proud of Kyler. I'm happy for his success and hopeful that he's able to lead us to back to relevancy when it comes to that, especially the NFC, but NFL in general. So that was a good thing to see as well in the offseason, as well as still don't have any Marvin Harrison Jr. jerseys. I don't know what's going on with this. I'm starting to get a little upset because I got $100 burning in my pocket right now trying to buy this jersey, and it's upsetting me. But we also had over this offseason, we also got our schedule release. Now, according to, I don't know where I saw this, according to the entirety of it, we supposedly have the 6th easiest schedule. You would not know that based off of how the season starts. You would think that we had the hardest schedule. That was one of the biggest things for me, at least looking at the schedule wise. I'll see if I can pull it up for you boys as well. But at least to start the season, right? Got Buffalo. You go into Buffalo, which is always a hostile place to play at, regardless. But you go into Buffalo week 1. As we mentioned, we kind of get a vibes from a certain game a couple years ago that we'll talk about with that game. But we go into Buffalo week 1, then you deal with the Rams in week 2. You deal with the Detroit Lions in week 3. You get the Commanders in week 4. Then you play the 49ers in week 5. So the first month and week into the season, there's no easy tests. You play 4 playoff teams, I believe. And so 4 out of 5 playoff teams in that stretch. So what is your guys' early thoughts about that stretch of games, those first 5? Just what do you think the team either needs to be or can be out of that break? At least if they want to have some success for playoffs, which we all 3 of us believe that this team has a chance to do this upcoming season. So how would those first 5 games probably have to look, at least for the team, or how do you think they will look, I should say?
Yeah, I can jump in if you want, Sean.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah. So I think if we want to have a shot at playoffs, you got to be at least 1-4. 0-5, it's pretty much like what the hell happened type of territory. I'm very confident that we're gonna win week 1, though. I think it really gives me, as you had kind of alluded to, Corey, the Tennessee Titans week 1 game in Tennessee back in 2021. Going in there, everyone thought we were gonna get pumped, and I don't know if you guys remember, but we won like 35 to like 17, something like that. Punched him in the mouth. And all you heard was everyone talking about like AJ Brown, how he's gonna like tear us up, and how we like couldn't compete. And I think Kirk went for 2 or 3 touchdowns. So shout out Christian Kirk. So that was crazy. But yeah, I think it just kind of gives me the same vibe. Like I honestly like opening up on the road, let the excitement build a little bit extra for the Cardinals faithful. And as far as like getting to the stadium for week 2, selling it out. And yeah, I think Buffalo, like specifically, has lost They lost some defensive pieces. They lost their two best receivers in Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. So, like they have camp and everything to try to prepare, but I mean, that's going to be a bit, I would imagine a bit of an adjustment. So I feel like that game just screams like Cardinals. We opened up as like an 8.5 point underdog. We were like plus 285 money line. That's down to like plus 220 money line and plus 6.5. So a 2 point swing on the road is pretty significant for anyone that isn't well versed in betting. And I expect that to come down even more. Maybe by game day, get down to even like 4.5, 5.5, but we'll see. So yeah, I love a win there. And then if you're able to start with the win there, like why can't you go win again at home against the Rams and really kind of put the league on notice? So I'd ballpark, like I'd kind of flirt with the idea of like 1-1, 2-0 there. And then Lions, yeah, it's obviously a super tough game, but another one that's at home, 2 in a row. So, it's going to be a tough one. They obviously have a ton of weapons, but our offense honestly kind of reminds me of a younger version of what they have going. Although I would say Kyler is a much more dynamic quarterback than Goff. But as far as like Laporta to McBride, Amon-Ra to Marv, obviously Marv's a lot taller and like a different player, but just and then Gibbs and Montgomery compared to JC and hopefully Benson. And then obviously week 4, and I guess that's kind of like got to be, a must win. Cliff coming back. That one's at home too. I think we can absolutely thump them. And obviously, like I love Jaden Daniels a lot. I've made that clear as far as like kind of like our off-season pods. But rookie quarterback, like I think we absolutely kill them. And then we're probably going to lose the Niners in week 5. Like that's almost a given. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but I'm not like super scared of that stretch. Obviously, it's tough, and like anyone outside of like the three of us and like the Cardinals diehards are looking at that like, all right, you're 1-4 at best, but I think we can easily come out of that 2-3, if not like 3-2, and dare I say like 4-1 if everything goes right. But would love to hear you guys chop that up.
Go ahead, Shot.
Yeah, so I guess to kind of answer your question, I feel like this team has to be like out of that 5-game stretch. I feel like they have to come out 3-2. And maybe 2-3, like with like a very close loss. But like for this team to, I guess at least for me to feel comfortable about the direction that this team is going, and probably for the players and coaches and everybody to feel comfortable about the goals that they want to achieve. Like I feel like you have to find a way to win against one of these big teams in Buffalo and Detroit. I know like Goff has had our number like historically like throughout his career. So like and obviously like our track record against the Rams hasn't been good lately, but like I know if we win those 2 games, I'm looking at this team totally different. Like this is a team that we haven't seen in a long time, and we can go out and beat the Rams, and we can also go out and beat the Lions, which are both winnable games because they're both at home, So like, and then also I feel like we need to beat the Lions or we need to beat the Bills, because this team needs to feel like it needs to feel like it can beat good teams. Like it can go up against good teams and take them to the wire and compete. And then at the same time, it needs to feel like, okay, well, we can also compete in our division. Like the Rams and the Niners, like those games, they can't be blowouts. Like you get blown out against the Rams at home week 2, that's not good for team morale. Like, and then you got the Lions coming in. Like I feel like that game has to be a competitive game. Like that game probably like it needs to be a win for the team in order for them to have the confidence, at least for me to have the confidence and knowing like, hey, okay, this is a 9-win team. This is a 10-win team potentially. And then the Commanders, like that's just a game that, yeah, you just got to win. Like they're probably going to be, is that what, week 3?
4.
So they're probably week 4. So they might be 0-3. They might be 0-3. So they're going to be coming there like hungry for a win, because teams don't lose 3 games in a row. Like even the worst teams, like sometimes they don't lose 3 games in a row. So like they're going to be coming in there hungry. And so that's the team that you need to know that, okay, we can beat the teams that we can beat. We can compete in our division, and we can go head to head with the best teams in the league. In like the Lions, who were they went to the NFC Championship game, and the Bills. Did they go to the AFC Championship game?
No.
Went to
I don't know.
divisional. They went to the divisional and then lost by 3 to the Chiefs because
But
missed the kick.
two teams that are their seasons are based on postseason success. It's not based on regular season.
Right.
So like you just gotta, if we can do that, then I would feel real confident about our season. So
I'm there as well. Like, to me, those first 5 games, like if you lose to Buffalo, but you beat the Rams and then you beat the 49ers, like say those are 2 of your wins versus out of the 3. It's like, to me, it's like that's why I say out of those 5, it's like I want at least 2 wins. Obviously, I think that's what you need to have at least 2 wins. And I feel like we're underselling our team a lot just because of like what this team has been and what this team has meant, like when it's healthy wise. But like, obviously that's a tough stretch. But I'm thinking at least 2-3 or 3-2, depending on the team that you beat. Like, I think the Lions game will be tough, but they're not amazing on defense. Now they can be beat on defense for sure. I think, in my opinion, I think they still need to add an edge rusher in that camp over there. At least, some other things to help out Aiden Hutchinson, I would say. But they go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say real quick, just do you guys remember like the Lions last year getting absolutely thumped by Baltimore? Oh, I feel like you guys definitely.
Yeah. No,
Corey, you got to remember that for sure.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, they were hype out here.
They got smoked. So like
Baltimore was smoking everybody.
Dude, that's when I was kind of like, all right, like they're like obviously beatable. And like you said, like I feel like that, like obviously they're a great team, but they're definitely beatable. The Niners are really like the only one in that stretch that like really scare me as far as being like, how are we gonna possibly win this game? Like, it can be done.
That's the thing. To me, they don't scare me that much.
I'm the same way.
They don't scare me that much because, one, it's a divisional opponent. You've been getting ready for them. 2, the games versus them, in my opinion, like, it's not the first game. The first game was Christian McCaffrey disaster class. Like, I don't know what the hell that was. The second game though was, we were kind of in it until we weren't. Like, but then even so, they were still making plays at the end. Like, 49ers fans will say that it was against their second string, stuff, XYZ, stuff like that. But Kyler has confidence against the 49ers. That's not a team that he feels demoralized against. The Rams are a team that he feels demoralized against, but they are missing a massive piece of why he felt demoralized against them. So it's like,
thank God that
their offense will always be good based off of their personnel and their head coach, the person calling the plays. So like, that's a given, but we have to see what this Rams defense will look like regardless without that guy right there, because that guy was the best player defensively, some would say, of all time. And when you lose that and you lose a level of that, you become a certain different type of player and or beatable. And I think that'll mean a lot for Kyler Murray to feel like possibly for the first time when playing them, he can have a chance to cleanly step up in the pocket and enjoy the midst of what that means versus having a guy that could be in his lap within a half second on mostly damn near every play. So like I said, I just think 2-3 in that stretch. 2-3 in that stretch means a lot, obviously. But I mean, I think they can go 3-2 because I think the Commanders game has to be a dub. Cliff, oh buddy, I can't wait for that one. That Commanders game definitely has to be a dub for sure. Then you're looking at, like I said, I think they can go in there and shock Buffalo. I think the same reasons that Jake said. Like, they're going. It's a team that has lost a lot of pieces. They have similar coaching there, but they've lost a lot of pieces, and they just in a team that's they've been beatable week 1. Like, I remember watching the Steelers. The Jets beat them last year on a walk-off kickoff with Josh Allen turned the ball over all the time like that. And I remember the Steelers going in there, I think maybe 2 years ago, and beating them at home in Buffalo week 1, with a game where it was close until Josh Allen, he turned the ball over. I think he messed the game up. So like, obviously week 1, you get Josh Allen to turn the ball over, you'll have a chance to win the game, and he's susceptible to doing that. We'll see what type of player he is now without Stephon Diggs. Obviously, we haven't seen that since the second year of his career, or since the first year of his career. So it'll be a fun test to see that. But I think our defense is up to the challenge, and I think our defense can definitely have a chance to be better than what a lot of people think it may be. And as we all feel like our offense should be, top 10, if not upper echelon in the league. So I think we present a problem for a lot of teams that they aren't going to expect until they watch us really play. And I'm just excited for that overall. So I think that Buffalo game can be a win. I think well, I got to see the Rams. For me, I can't pick us to beat the Rams until we beat them, until you actually show me that you can beat them. But getting them week 2 early in the season like that has been a good recipe for us, obviously. And then, week 3, you got the Lions in town. I can't say I can pick us to win that game because they have the better roster as of this point. But if you compete in that game and show some heart and then force them into a situation where they're coming down to the wire and they're stressing to get that dub, that's going to make me feel confident about the team, like Shaw said. Week 4, like I said, you should get that dip. And then the 49ers, again, that's another thing of the Rams. When you go beat them, I'll feel confident in it 1,000%. But until you do that, I can't 1,000% pick us, but I want to pick us in that game real badly. So I'm hoping that we're playing good football leading up to that stretch. But overall, I mean, sentiment is 2-3, 3-2. Jake, you kind of had it 1-4 as the bar, but I think we can be better than that. I think we can get at least 2 out of that stretch. And then we obviously, coming up, you got swing games, in my opinion, for this season. You got the Packers game that could be, we could easily go beat them. Nobody will pick us that game except for, like I said, us diehard fans, but we can easily go up there and beat them. You got the Chargers game. You should be able to beat them for sure. You got some of the Bears game. That's a swing game. You should be able to beat them. Say it again. Oh, yeah, the Jets game as well. That's a game that should be interesting depending on who knows how they'll look, obviously, when it comes to health and what they have rocking on offensively. We know they're usually a stud or defensively, but again, another game that if you're at home, a lot of these games, in my opinion, should be winnable. And Sean, I know you mentioned like what it looks like against good teams. Obviously, we remember last year, we beat 4 playoff teams, if I'm not mistaken. So except for the Falcons, excuse me, but they were on the verge of playoffs at 8 and 9. So I think this team is going to be up for the challenge in a lot of these games. And as we mentioned, like down the stretch is probably our easiest test. You got some of those easier games. You got the Panthers, you have the Patriots down the stretch as well. Let me take a look at the schedule. You have Seattle in week 11 and I think week 13. So that's kind of a weird stretch with them, but that's a team that I think, in my opinion, if you don't get one against them, that lowers my confidence in the team because I don't think they're that good at all. So
I think we could potentially sweep them.
Mm-hmm. And so, any of those other games down the end of the season, you guys are excited for that you may, be looking forward to.
I'm excited for that Dolphins
season?
game. You didn't mention the Dolphins game, but we got the Dolphins sandwiched in there week 8, where we go to Miami. So I'm excited for that game. But yeah, and probably the Panthers game too, because I'm probably gonna go to the Panthers game. So excited for that too.
Might see you there.
I'll say, well, how's that? We'll see you down there. We'll all be down in that one too. Back-to-back weeks. Talk about it. But yeah, so we also had the Vikings game on the road as well, week 13. You end the season with the Rams and 49ers. So depending on implications, obviously we want us to be playing for something big at the end of the season. So hopefully those games mean something. But we also have them at the end of the season. But go ahead, Jake.
I was gonna say I actually really wanted to highlight the fact that we have the Niners in week 18, and there's a good chance that they have already wrapped up first place. They could be playing second and third stringers in that game, and that could be a layup for us. Say we're like a fringe playoff team, or they could still be fighting for the number 1 seed. So that could be very interesting down the road. Like that could be a layup of a win if they have like everything locked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but looking at the rest of the schedule, I mean, so if we do have a starting 2 and 3. What do you guys feel like the end of the season schedule looks like? We can go over each game by game and say who you think may win. But
good.
All right, go ahead. I mean, we'll start it off. So boom. So we have us 2 and 3 after the first 5.
Yeah.
So we head out to Green Bay. You guys have that as a win or a loss?
I'll say loss.
Lost to Green Bay.
I mean, I'm gonna say that we're 3-2 going into that game, and I think that we might lose.
I agree with that.
Okay. Yeah. I have us at 2 and 3 going into that, but I have us winning that game. I just think I think that's not a team I fear in week 6. And I don't know if that's crazy to say or whatever the case may be, but week 6, that's not a team that I feel like I fear. Jordan Love's gonna have to show me. I mean, he got that contract and stuff like that, but he's still gonna have to show me. Anybody can beat Dallas. We see K1 beat Dallas all the time. So him getting a contract for beating Dallas to me is crazy, but he's gonna have to show me again if he can really prove that. So you guys have us at John, you have us at 3 and 3. Jake, you have us at what, 2 and 4 or 3 and 3 at that point?
3 and 3.
3 and 3. So we're all at 3 and 3.
Yeah, we all the same.
All at 3 and 3. Chargers and Cardinals week 7, Monday Night Football. ESPN
think we
Plus
all.
game, so we get the secondary viewers.
Yeah, 4 and 3.
4 and 3. I
Yeah.
think we get them as well.
Yeah.
So then we check a travel to Miami for the Dolphins game. No, we said, Charles, you say you're excited about this one. How are you feeling that could shake out for us?
I mean, I'm excited about the location, you know, going on the East Coast, going to Miami.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to turn out pretty well.
Mhm.
I don't think we'll win that one. I wouldn't chalk that one up as a win.
I
Yeah.
think that could be a high scoring affair right there. I know they got
Also,
Jalen
I'd have
Ramsey
to
and they got
see.
some defense.
I'd have to see what Miami's schedule looks like too, because that could be a low key trap game for them.
Right.
Feel that?
Yeah.
Feel that?
I'll say 4 and 4 there, just to play just to low ball us as much as I can.
Mhm.
I think I'll just say we lose it by a touchdown, and I
Mhm.
think it's just too much to handle with the 4-headed monster of Reek, Waddle, Mostert, A-Chan, whatever.
So we're saying it looks like we're sandwiched in with Miami from they have a Colt. They play the Colts on the road the week before, and then they play Buffalo the week after. So
They
and that's a Buffalo
could be
game on the
looking.
road. So
They could be looking ahead to that Buffalo game.
True.
right there, I'll say we'll take the loss based off of skill position players only, but I would not be surprised to beat them. Obviously,
I agree with that.
So we're about 4 and 4, so still even records I think for everybody. Bears and Cardinals week 9 at home. That has to be a win for us. I think they beat us on some phony shit last year. It's just my opinion, but I don't think they were really that much better than us. I think it was raining very heavily, and we just said, we'll try our best. But that was also still one of his first games back. So I think we can beat them. I think we can beat the Golden Boy and Caleb Williams, and I think we can expose Matt Eberflus and whatever his name is.
Yeah,
and then handle them.
I could definitely see him crying in the stands after that one.
and he might take that game personally because of the people compare him to Kyler XYZ stuff, but I think Kyle's going to take that game personally as well because this is a guy that a lot of people thought was Lincoln Riley's best tutelage, quarterback, and Kyler Murray's been sitting right there saying he also has a Heisman Trophy. So
yeah, something
that game should be again another maybe high scoring affair. Obviously, I don't want our defense to be like that, but should be another high scoring affair that game and have some fun. So I have us also winning that one. So at this point, week 10, 5 and 4 before you play the Jets. I think this will be a huge W for a lot of us fans going into week 10 this late in the season, having some success and being over a 500 football team would be huge.
I just want to highlight too with the Bears, obviously Caleb, like you said, is like the golden child, but what Stroud did last year as a rookie is such an anomaly.
It's an anomaly, right? It's a massive anomaly.
I everyone has the Bears. I saw Adam Rank has the Bears going 12 and 5.
Bro, don't listen to Adam Rank, bro. I literally
12 and 5 is crazy.
I saw that. I literally saw that and closed my app the next second. Bro. I said, "There's no way that he did that."
Right.
But he's always done it. He's always a homer. So it's like it's no.
I'm not even saying that Caleb's gonna stink, but there's no way that they're an elite team next year. And I could totally see us going in there and just giving it to them, winning by 10. I got that as a W through and through. I don't think there's any way that they get that done.
I feel you. So 5 and 4, like I said, heading into week 10. Then you play the Jets at home. I want to see us start to stack them, but I will give us a loss right there just based off of talent alone. We do kind of own Aaron Rodgers and State Farm. He had that one lucky win a couple years ago, but State Farm has not been a kind place for Aaron Rodgers. So I would hope that stretch continues. So I'll actually have us winning that. I have us taking a loss right there, just based off of their defense. That'll probably be one of the better defense that we've seen since probably the 49ers game in week 5. So I definitely would chalk it up for the Jets right there. But what do you all think?
Yeah, I was about to say I feel like that's I definitely think that's a win. I feel like back-to-back wins definitely. Right there. Okay. There's only one team in the NFL that I don't respect, and it's the Jets. I don't care how good they are or how good on paper they are. The Jets to me have not been good for a long time, and they still won't be good. And even with Rodgers, I don't think that they're gonna meet expectations that people are setting for them. And then another thing, Kyler's the type of guy where like I think he takes his matchups personally when he's going up against a good quarterback. And
For sure.
obviously, like Aaron Rodgers is like his guy, like his idol.
Yeah.
And the last time that they played each other was, the AJ Green mishap.
Literally.
So I don't think there's any way that Kyler doesn't come out in this game with his A game if he's going up against Rodgers on the other side of the field. And I feel like we win that game.
Yeah,
Okay, so
you convinced me. I'll go win as well.
okay. So
Yeah.
you boys are
Also,
at 6.
something to point out too. Like obviously the Jets are stacked on paper, as you said, Shad. But I remember, and Rodgers didn't play last year, but 2 years ago, like Rodgers did not look very good, and I feel like not a lot of people remember that. But his arm looked noticeably weaker, and that's 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
it'll be an interesting game. Obviously, he'll want to come beat us because of the place he is. Like Sean said, Kyler will want to come beat him for the same reasoning. So that should be a fun quarterback game, fun defensive game as well, in my opinion. So I'm excited for that one. So you guys got that at 6-4. I have it at 5-5 going into the bye.
Yeah.
But I think this is when the team could obviously look to start stacking up. So in my opinion, coming out of the bye. Right, you got Seattle, Vikings, Seattle. That 3-game stretch. I don't really care what games you lose, or what game you lose out of that one, but I want to see 2-1 throughout that stretch. Obviously, it's gonna be hard to beat a team like that, like Seattle. Week 12 and then week 14 playing them so close in unison like that. But I think if you come out of those games 2-1, no matter which one you lose, that'd be positive for me. Obviously, you want the division wins based off of standings and stuff like that, but if you can sneak one away from Seattle, get one from the Vikings, and then maybe lose one in Seattle right there, just whatever combination that would be for 2-1, I would love that, in my opinion. And I think that's kind of how it would play out. So that for me would have us at 7-6, I believe, going into a couple stretches. But for you guys, how about that? Seattle home and home, almost basically with a Vikings game mixed in. What do you guys think about thoughts about those games?
Yeah, I agree with you. 2-1, I think, is likely. I think we split with them. Definitely beat Minnesota. Minnesota's gonna stink. Like it's gonna get tough for them. I mean, it's looking like Darnold's probably gonna be their quarterback. So I think that's a guaranteed win. And then I like to split with Seattle. So okay. I would go with at that point 8-5.
8-5, okay.
Yeah, so I think I can see us going 2-1, but I'm actually gonna say that we're gonna go 1-2 over that stretch, just because I feel like after playing Seattle, maybe going to Minnesota after that, like that Seattle game on the road is gonna be a tough game. Like we know it's a division game, it's gonna be a tough game. And that Minnesota game could be a sneaky game where like they might not be all the way there. So I'm gonna just say 1-2 because I think we split with Seattle this year. And I feel like the Vikings could be a sneaky game that we lose. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 1-2.
So Jake got 8-5, Shaw, you got 7-6. And I think this is where all of us, I believe, would have, the next 2 games be wins. Patriots at home, Panthers on the road. Those are obviously 2 games where, we want 2 dubs right there. Getting 2 dubs in those games would be, obviously you want to stack wins right there in the kind of this 5-game stretch, but those should be 2 dubs for me, in my opinion. So that would put us at about 9-6 for me.
Yeah,
which would be crazy, which would be an insane record. But and then Jake, I'm pretty sure you have those 2 wins for us, so that would be 10-5 or 10-5.
Yep.
That would be crazy after week 16, 10-5, and then Shaw, you also would be at 9-6.
Yeah, but I will say I think that Panthers game is another sneaky game.
Trap game. Okay.
Yeah, because like I mean the Panthers, we know like the Panthers like they play
be beating us. They be beating us.
And then like it's in the winter time, like it's gonna be cold outside. It's gonna be it could be snowing. I don't know. It's North Carolina. Like
we did.
It could be
last time.
Yeah, we did, but they got different coaching now. Like, and it's later on in the season. I don't know. I still chalk it up as a win, but I could see that being a tough game too.
Chalk it up as a sneaky game. You got right now. You got Vikings, Panthers sneaky games, and then the Dolphins. I think is another one of your sneaky games. Not sneaky, but obviously tougher games. So I mean, overall 9-6 or 10-5 after week of 16 would be got a massive W. I'd be running up and down the streets because we almost be damn near locked in for a wild card spot at that point, depending on what our division is doing. But this is when you got Rams week 17 on the road, then 49ers at home.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's where it starts to get tricky with kind of like how we started the schedule. Like if you got us, or if we all agreed that we were going 3-2 to start, like I don't think we're sweeping the Rams. So that's the that's the issue. If you're assuming that one of those three wins in the beginning is the Rams, then you guys got to give that as a loss.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that puts us 9-7, and I would also say that as well. So that would put me at 10-6, and then who knows what's going to happen with the Niners week 18? Like I teased earlier, that could be a layup win if they've already clinched. They could be fighting for the number 1 seed. If that's the case, that's a really hard game. And as we saw with Seattle last year, 9-8 didn't get them in. So that's where it starts to get dicey.
Yep. Yeah, I could. Go ahead, Shot.
No, I was just about to say, I think like going into these last 2 games, I feel like the goal should be like if you're just 1 game above 500. So I think like at that point it's like 8-7, something like that. If you're just 1 game above 500, you should be in the hunt for a playoff spot. And I mean, basically, you just want to be able to control your own destiny going into these last 2 games. Like the Rams and the Niners are probably going to be in the same spot, you know, fighting for a playoff spot. The Niners might already have a spot locked up, but I just feel like as long as they're in the hunt before these last 2 games or at these last 2 games, like I feel like the season has been it was a pretty good season. Like we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, 1,000%. If we're in that position right there, by the time that season comes around, we're in an amazing spot, and I would love if that's our position and stuff like that. So, like you said, 8-7 going into those stretches, that's great. You know, however that looks, you know, with those last 2 games being either prove-it games or games like Jake said where you can control your destiny, like. That's positive for me. That's a positive direction. And even so, that late in the season with that many wins, I mean, we'd all be cashing on the over wins bet already. I mean, at this point, it's around 6.5. I feel like by the season starts, it'll bump up to 7.5 nationally and stuff like that. But I'm interested for all of it overall. So,
dude,
go ahead.
Let me give you a scenario. So, would you rather after those first 5 games, would you rather be 3-2 and you beat the Rams, or 2-3 and you lost to the Rams? And given the 2-3 scenario, you get to those last 2 games and you are 8-7, like going by our same logic. So then you have those 2 games, and you know if you can get to 9 wins, you make the playoffs. And if you don't, obviously, so like if the Rams sweep you, you're not going to make it. Or would you rather we beat the Rams in that first one, we're 9-6 getting to those last 2 games, and then we lose both of those last 2 games and we back into the playoffs at 9-8? So would you know what I'm saying?
I would hate to back into the playoffs.
I would rather it be in our hands. So like, I mean, I guess technically it's in our hands. Like if it's 9-6 and we fumble, but like I guess like in your like scenario, I'd rather be the 8-7 where I know like, okay, we're gonna win these next 2 games, because I mean, I just want the ball to be in our court. Like I don't want to have to I don't want us to be like, oh well, we got in because another team lost. Like no, I don't want that. Yeah,
dude. So that's my thing too, is where it's like I would rather be the 2008 Cardinals team that caught fire at the end of the season and took the momentum into the wild card divisional all the way to the Super Bowl, versus the 2021 Cardinals that you knew by like week 13 that this team is obviously going to the playoffs, but then you lose like your last 4 games and you back in and you get smoked in the wild card. You know what I mean? Like I feel like, say we're 8-7, we go in and we beat the Rams, and the Niners have clinched a spot. We beat them, and then all of a sudden we're 10-7. We've won our last 2. We go into the wild card and we just beat up on,
Philadelphia.
another like fringy team versus like backing in as we did in 2021, and then you draw a horrible matchup against the Rams and you just get embarrassed. So I don't know, but I really do think I think we're gonna be there. I'm hell bent on making the playoffs. But Corey, what do you think about that scenario?
I mean, I don't want to back into anything. After we saw what happens with this team backing into playoffs in 2021, I don't want to back into anything, regardless of spots or not. Like, I mean, we just watched the Packers. Literally, we watched Jordan Love get $200 and something million for how he played, last month and a half of the season. And that was the catalyst towards their success in getting to the playoffs. So, just how they played. Obviously, they beat the Chiefs at the end of the season. They had some losses here and there, but they played good football at the end of the season, which catapulted them into the playoffs. And obviously, like I said, a lot of teams can beat Dallas going into the playoffs, but how they played, obviously going into it, helped them generate that type of success. And then they almost had a close one with the Niners too. So I don't. Whatever scenario looks like at the beginning, like I'm not going to panic after the first 5 games. Obviously, I think 0-5, you hit the button a little bit because of what we've seen so far. Like, because if you go 0-5, then, or if you go 0-5 or even like a 1-4, in my opinion, like that to me is screaming, like, especially we have a good preseason where like Kyler comes out maybe the first 2 games, plays early, looks good. It gives me last year's Steelers vibes where the Steelers looked amazing throughout the preseason, and now Kenny Pickett's a backup on the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, it's just stuff like that where it's like you see like how good preseason could be or how good the early season part could be, and then the reality of once the games start, when they mean something, it actually changes. So, like I said, I won't too much panic outside of the beginning games. Like I said, 0-5, I'm hitting the button definitely. 1-4, I'm thinking about it. But 2 and 3, you stay alive, you beat certain teams, whatever combination it is. Outside of those 4, outside of the Commanders, all 4 of those other teams went to the playoffs. So getting any of those wins versus a playoff team would be a huge W in my opinion. So I couldn't complain about whichever game you get. Obviously, you want to get the division ones the most; those mean more when it comes down to it. But at the same time, I'm looking at the schedule. I can see us winning 7 to 8 games outside the division, and then basing the division off of whatever you do in the division bases yourself on if you're getting to the playoffs or not. So it's like, in your scenario, like I'm not too panicky if they start off bad, because obviously you want to play better football, and I think based off the schedule, they can be playing good football when it matters the most. So me, I don't want to back in anything. Backing in scares me. I saw the team back in last couple of years ago, and that was the worst day of my life, sitting there in front of that TV watching that playoff game.
Yeah.
Knowing I had to go to school the next day and face a lot of shit. So
right.
Didn't want to talk about it at all. But yeah, so 9-8, 10-7. The varying range, I should say, has been around 7 wins to 10 wins, possibly 11, based off of it. Some good things go our way, obviously, but 7 to 10 has been a solid range, and I like that range right there. And it's all going to come down to the Cardinals and what they do, coaching staff and what they do. So that was good for off season, I would think. Obviously, you got early training camp going on right now. We're about a couple of days in. I think day 6 or day 7 of training camp. Obviously, we had OTAs as well. So the OTAs looked good. I think the big positive for me, at least early camp thoughts, one of the biggest things I saw outside of today happening, I should say, was that we had nobody on PUP list. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was injured coming into camp. And it's been a long time since we could say that. It's been a long time since we understood that we would have at least every guy that was on the 90-man roster to start training camp is available and can play and participate, in my opinion. So I think that was one of the bigger things outside of obviously what we've seen from our number 4 overall draft pick. But early camp thoughts for you guys. I got a couple more, but early camp thoughts for you guys. What might be the standout? What have you seen so far, over the Twitter streets? Just taking in the content that we've seen so far.
Yeah, I was about to say I've been noticing a lot of people have been talking about Max Melton a lot, like saying that he looks like he might be one of them ones, which we really need. We desperately need somebody to step up and be CB1. So that's pretty good. I've seen a couple clips of him locking up Marv, going against him. So that's exciting to see. But also, like, people forget we had a second first round pick. We had Darius, and I seen some videos of him today, like getting off the ball. He looked quick to be 6'6", 300 pounds, almost 300 pounds. Like, so knock on wood, like you said, with the injuries and stuff, like, that's going to be key for us. But like, if the D-line stays healthy, if that pass rush is looking like how like if Darius is looking like he could be like a key pass rusher or a big time pass rusher, like it's gonna go a long way for this team.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Like that a lot. I have seen though that the edge position is still a big issue. So it would be nice. I mean, would you guys give up a fifth for Matt Judon?
Absolutely. I was talking about that's crazy. That's crazy. I was talking to my Patriots fan the other day. Not the ones that you probably talked to, but like I was talking to them the other day. I was saying that I'm upset that this isn't a year later when we have almost 80 million in cap space, because I would literally say you can have a second and a fifth. We're going to sign him for a 2-year deal, and then we're going to, that can be a clear edge rusher, and he fits exactly what Jonathan Gannon and Nick Ross want to do with the versatility of dropping back and rushing the passer. But I wouldn't worry about the pass rush group right now. I think we have a good set of tackles, or edge rusher group. I think we have a really good set of tackles, in my opinion. So that's why some of the guys may not be flashing too much. But I think, like, I want to see what they look like week one, obviously, when it comes down to it. But I think a lot of our chaos will come from the middle. I think Shaw mentioned it with Darius Robinson. If he can be anything like a Cam Jordan, which is what I think is type of his kind of build when it comes to playing both outside and inside. I mean, he comes out the tunnel like the videos. He comes out the tunnel like, and he's still doing the college thing where they roll the shirts up on the pads. Yeah. That is a big ass motherfucker, dog. Right. That is a big dude, bro. Like, he's built like a motherfucker, built like a straight tank. And like I know Venerable mentioned this on PHNX, like, we look like a team. Like, we're not the team that we looked like multiple years. Like, we're a team that like you said, you get off the bus and you're like, oh shit, it's this team coming off the bus. Like, we got players like that look like that and physically had that size like that. And so, like, Darius Robinson is one of the mainstays of that. Like, he's a chiseled person, chiseled man. Pause. But overall, like, if he's anything in terms of interior pass rusher, we see obviously with Aaron Donald, his career, like what interior pass rush does to teams and how they have to counteract those things. So, like I said, I think a lot of the chaos will come in from the middle, in terms of now you're just asking BJ Ojulari, Xavier Collins, Dennis Gardeck, Xavier Thomas, if he gets some reps, and then even Monty's always looking to add to the roster. So, like, maybe a veteran, a free agent pass rusher might get cut before camp, if before a season starts, and you go and pick them up. So, like, if we really feel like that's one of the big worries, but I wouldn't worry too much about that yet. We'll see what happens when it comes to that. But I think Shaw's point of Max Melton, and I think the DBs in general, Garrett Williams, Buddha and Jalen, and Sean Murphy Bunton as well, Elijah Jones, I think that's a good 5 to have. And then you talk about Rabbit Taylor, who is a really good backup replacement safety right there as a third safety. And then you have obviously the guys who you worked with last year, and Starlin Thomas, who a lot of people are saying is having a good camp. And then Keitrell Clark as well, who we know, he's somewhat talented. But overall, like, the DBs, I think that's what we want to be good at. I think we want to have good DBs regardless. Like that, I feel like that's just Jonathan Gannon's like MO, because he came from either on the Vikings or the Colts, he was the DB. He was coaching the DB. So, and he, obviously as a former safety when he was playing as well. So that's kind of his calling card. So I think, if we have a solid group of DBs, obviously, like, you want the pass rush to get home. But I've seen what a solid group of, we remember no fly zone. We can't really remember how many good pass rushers and interior players outside of Calais Campbell we had when we had no fly zone, but we still was, they still didn't allow much to happen. And their ability to cover got the guys up front sacks, and that got pressure up front. So I think you'll see a lot of that this year. Just maybe a lot of coverage sacks. Obviously, you want big pressure to come in, but coverage sacks will be huge this year. So we'll see what it looks like overall when the games start kicking off.
No, I agree. I mean, if the middle of the line can be a force and honestly just like stop the run, like, that is a massive win, because that has been our Achilles heel for longer than I can remember. So if that's the case, and like you said, coverage sacks start becoming more of a thing, like that's fine as well. If you can stop the run, force the QB across from you to pass, like there's no problem there. And also too, like Buddha can drop down and rush the passer. Mac Wilson, who you guys
I
didn't
was just about to mention. I was about to say you got your two tanks in the middle. That's your guys 2x7.
I was gonna say, dude, I think Kaiser White and Mac Wilson are gonna be a dynamic duo. I'm pretty sure Mac Wilson had 4 or 5 sacks last year, and he like only started getting the ability to rush the passer like super late in the year. He wasn't even like a bona fide starter for most of the year.
Yep.
And he's an Alabama dog. So super excited for that. As far as like the DBs go, like, dude, that room has filled up quite nicely. Like Garrett Williams, apparently like they've seen him in the slot, but they want to like use him inside and out, which is great to hear that he's versatile. Max Melton, like the foreshadowing was holding Marv to 20 yards last year when they played Rutgers. Like that guy, he's very talented. Like that's proven. It's showing in camp. Dude, if you can get like some work out of Starling Thomas, like if he buds into a solid player, like that's massive. It honestly seems like Keitrell Clark could be the guy that's kind of like on the outs, which he's a freak athlete, like the type doing backflips and stuff like in full pads. So you got to just find a spot for him. Like, I don't know, maybe he just becomes like an elite special teamer. Like, I don't even know, but you got to find.
He's not going to have a choice. I mean,
right. Like, you got to utilize that.
He's not going to have a choice.
I would just hate to see him like get cut and then go somewhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like maybe he's still young and just like kind of green. So I don't know.
It would suck. I think I feel you on that. It would suck, but like they drafted 3 corners, 2 in the top 90 for a reason. Like
so clearly they weren't confident. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do know JG does have a soft spot for Clark. Yeah. So.
But it's like, have you all seen him do anything so far this camp? Like I haven't really heard his name at all.
I saw him one time, dude, and it was like. Yeah. I think he either got like burnt or he was just like kind of like in the shot. So I don't know how much they're using him, but dude, the defense looks like totally revamped. Obviously, a great safety duo. So yeah, like you said, I mean, if the pressure is going to come from the middle and like we can just stop the run and like coverage sacks become a thing, like dude, that's totally fine. I feel like our offense is going to average like 25 points a game anyways, so I'm not really. Too worried. You've seen a lot of teams make playoff runs with an elite offense and like a solid defense. As long as we're like at least like 20th, which I think is very doable, I think the offense is going to be top 5 to like top 8. So nice. Yeah, I'm not too worried. But dude, there was something I wanted to mention. Like I said, I have been watching a lot of camp stuff, and a lot of like the interviews and stuff too. And I'm sure you guys saw Kyler's recent Instagram post. It was like a bunch of like shots from the offseason. I think the first one was like him throwing a pass in like black and white or something, but the caption just said "bet the over." Corey, I know you must have seen that.
Of course, I definitely
dude, like that's the type of stuff, dude. Like I personally love that, and
he's talking to you. Yeah, he's talking to you.
Eat that up, bro. I eat that up. Like, dude, I see that and I'm like, it's on. Like, we're winning 10 games. Like, we're gonna go in a playoff game, which leads me to my next point of like 2 things. I don't know if you guys like have seen on Twitter, but like ML Football, JPA, like a bunch of those accounts. Albert Breer just did a long segment, an article. There's been a lot of love for Kyler in the media, and I just think it's crazy because it's a complete 180 from like what we've seen the past like 3 years or so. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. And if you think that, like, at least in my opinion, I believe that one, that's come from Kyler's like clear leadership that he's exemplified over like the last year or so. 2, I think he can thank JG and Monty for basically just like legitimizing the team as like an actual franchise that can compete and earn themselves a great reputation last year as being like a team that's tough as hell. Even as a 4-win team. But within the article too, like that Breer wrote, he talked about how JG and Kyler like had a long conversation last year, like getting on the same page and stuff, and basically how they shared that they both like are huge fans of one another. And JG like asked Kyler to basically like step in more as a leader. Like he was basically like, dude, like you're the guy, like you have all this talent, we know you can win, like blah blah blah, but like we need you to like bring these other guys along and like show them the way basically, and like get them to buy in, and like we need you to step up as a leader. And obviously like, and then like in the article too, it mentioned how like they went to Oklahoma together. Kyler brought the whole team to UCLA, like he paid for everything. So I just feel like that's a crazy testament to JG and those guys like working in lockstep to just like totally change the culture, and together like completely change the entire narrative and the arc of like Kyler Murray, like the individual. So I just think that's like it's not like it's more of like an intangible that I feel like is going to be a super benefit for us, and honestly for Kyler too. Like you know how connected he is to socials and like the media and everything. Like he hears everything. So just to like get some love and like not be getting hate, and like the jokes have kind of like simmered a little bit. Like I don't know. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that, and kind of just would love to know if you guys have seen that, read it at all, and just like your overall opinions on that.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to read anything. Yeah, I do want to, but on your point of national media, I mean, all you had to do was have one conversation with the leadership amongst the Cardinals, and you would realize that Kyler Murray is not the player that they got the perception of, and based off of whatever was happening. Because again, you have a outward group that is supporting him and backing him by doing things to support him, versus a group that may have internally supported him but not outwardly supported him to the media. I mean, Kime was a straight rat to any reporter that he could have, literally, about how he may have wanted Kyler to take the nod, but didn't do the things to support Kyler to take the nod. Just wanted him to do it because you think about the quarterbacks that he was handed, a Kurt Warner, a Carson Palmer. They were already veterans and leaders. They already knew how to do stuff like that. You didn't know how to inherit a quarterback and generate leadership out of him, versus a JG who you mentioned had a conversation with Kyler like a grown man, looked him in his face and said, "Sir, this is what we want you to do. Can you do it for me?"
Right.
Like I guarantee you, Cliff could never have a conversation with him like that, because Cliff never garnered his respect in such a way like that. Cliff was his head coach. Cliff was a guy that, like I mentioned this multiple times, Cliff was his head coach. Yes, he was. But he was also a guy that recruited Kyler Murray. So we know these coaches in college, they're suckering up to some of these players when they want to be recruits. Like, and forever, probably in Kyler's mindset, he looked at him like, this guy's recruiting me. He's not really coaching me. He's recruiting me. So it's like, it's hard to respect somebody when it's like that, versus a guy that everybody knows when you go to the NFL, you don't get to choose who you get to go to, be with. You inherit everything. So it's like you inherit a guy like JG and you realize, oh shit, he has the same makeup as me. We're both competitive as hell and want to win as well as, but this is what he's expecting from me, and this is what I need to do as a leader. And like you said, like I mentioned, I should say, the injury is a huge part of why I feel like his steps in terms of maturity and stuff like that, because he does realize this is something that he wants to have for his career, but how quickly it could be taken away from him based off of injuries and how long he was gone and stuff like that. So it's like overall, like the notion of Kyler Murray, like I'm pleased. I mentioned this earlier. Like I'm massively pleased with it, just because it's like I said, you have a conversation with anybody that's in charge, you realize he's not the player that a lot of the perception we get from him about being lazy, not, whatever it is, not studying, not doing film. Like all of that was bullshit when it came out. Like I mentioned when it came out, and it's still bullshit today. And the reason the people that outside of Cliff, the people that set that up, do not have a job. So it's like I'm proud of. I'm happy that we have JG and Monty, because it's real leaders and real men, one-on-one conversations and respectable conversations that are had between coach and quarterback and GM and quarterback, and they're all on unison step. As we mentioned, like anytime you hear any of JG's or any of Monty and JG's draft picks talk, they all talk the same way. And now that's trickling down to anybody that's on the roster. They're all talking the same way. They're all in the same unison step. And those are the best teams. Those are the teams that have success. So Shaw, you can take your points on that.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all have y'all watched Cam Newton's 4th and 1 podcast.
I watch it here and there. I don't know if I've seen anything by Kyler yet though.
Well, no, it wasn't anything specifically about Kyler, but he was breaking down, like, I guess Jordan Love did a Bleacher Report interview where they asked him to write or draw up what's the best play, like the most unguardable play that you can think of. And he drew it up, and Cam Newton was basically breaking it down blind without hearing his Jordan Love's take on it. And he was just like, look, this is like simple. He said it was simple stuff, but obviously simple for an NFL quarterback. But he's like, look, like you don't get to the level that I got at without like, you know what I'm saying, studying or learning any of this stuff. Like you can't just go out there and just be, not be prepared. And so the whole like studying stuff and all that stuff about Kyler, like that we've heard, like all that stuff. I mean, we know it was bullshit. Like we knew like you can't be where he's at and not be studying and not be putting in the extra work. But the leadership that we had, or I say the leadership, but the management that we had, the ownership that we had, like they just didn't do a lot to quell those like or to silence those critics. And I feel like the media, which what they do, I mean, they get paid to do, they just run with narratives. Like,
Yeah.
and now we're starting to see like under better management, under better coaching, like y'all talked about. And then also I feel like you mentioned, like the injury, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of like has him looking at his career in a different way. But at the same time, I also feel like if we didn't have the injury, Kyler probably the leadership stuff that we're seeing now, we probably would have saw it a year ago, 2 years ago. But he had to take time to focus on his recovery, focus on himself.
Yeah.
And throughout that, the organization, Michael Bidwell, credit to him, like he got the guys in place right now that it looks like things are going in the right direction. And you're just seeing just optimism. It's just a ton of positive vibes. Like I don't know. I feel like the media is feeding off of that, and like maybe whenever like the tough times come again, they're always going to have something to say. Something's always going to come up. But we know who Kyler is. We know what type of leader he is. We know what type of players that we have on this team, and what type of coaches and management we have now. Oh, there you go, Jake.
Go.
So yeah, man. I just feel like this is natural progression for him. Stepping up as a leader, and
you saw I don't know if you guys saw the back together weekend stuff on NFL Network and stuff like that, but I mean we've had some reporters from the Athletic out at practices and stuff like that. NFL reporters from the Athletic. You had Nate Tice out there today. Out like Jake said, Albert Breer was out there, and it's like when these guys these guys have a local a national following of being non-biased, reporters and just being NFL intrigue and reporters and stuff like that. And when those guys start being like, okay, well, damn, Kyler looks good. Damn, this is how Kyler actually is. Damn, this is how Kyler is as a person, as a leader. Oh, that's completely not what I thought about him. It's like us as fans, we just sit there like with the emoji face with the straight face and stuff like that. Like we already kind of told y'all this, but you didn't want to listen to us because we didn't win games. Like sometimes winning games results in what your roster looks like. There's a guy that wears a red jersey and a gold helmet that was picked 262 in the NFL draft, which means he was the worst player in the NFL draft based off of the draft pick selection, and people praise him based off of the people that he has around him. And it's like we say it all the time. Thankfully, it didn't happen. But if Kyler Murray was a 49er, they would have long-term success. They would have never drafted Jimmy. They would have never drafted what's his name? Trey Lance, Brock Purdy. They would have never done any of that because they would have already been set in position for what they needed because he's that dynamic of a player. And so, like, when people come out, because we'll get a lot of this, Brock Purdy's better than Kyler Murray, XYZ, this, that. And I'm glad I see some realistic Niner fans out there that say Kyler Murray is 1,000% a better talent than Brock Purdy. He just hasn't gone to the places that Brock Purdy has gone to because their teams are not alike at all. Their teams have never been alike at all, not one time. So it's like, I want to see. I want Kyler to have that because Kyler deserves that. He's the number one overall pick. Like the same biases that people have for Trevor Lawrence. Kyler Murray doesn't get those for some reason, and Trevor Lawrence hasn't had a lot of success at all. He had one playoff win against the Chargers that they should have lost. Like literally, like those guys have one playoff win, and it's like they just get the ever official sacrificial. Like they get every excuse in the book. Nothing ever happens. Like. We had the worst. I don't know if anybody realizes this, but we played the Super Bowl champions in our playoff game. His one playoff game was against the Super Bowl champions, eventual Super Bowl champions. Nobody was beating them. Nobody beat them. So it's not like Kyler's any different. So it's like I want Kyler to have that success. I want Kyler to be in those national headlines because he deserves it because he's a great talented player. He's already a 2-time Pro Bowler while missing an entire NFL season, basically missing a full NFL calendar season within 2 years. Like, so it's like if he gets back to, and like he mentioned the other day, he's just barely scratching his surface and what he can be in terms of his limit and his sky and his ceiling. So like, I'm massively excited for him.
You bring up a good point too, where it's just like nobody really cares about what's going on, even though they're national media. They don't care about what's going on in Arizona. They're not coming out to Arizona to watch the practices, watch the games, talk to the coaches. They just go off of what other people tell them,
right.
And that's how all these narratives and stuff like that gets thrown out there. But I mean, we haven't been good. You know what I'm saying? So like, what do they have to come out here to see? But as we, last year we showed that, hey, we can go up against the Eagles, we can go up against the Cowboys, we can play playoff teams and look competitive. So now it's like, all right, something might be changing, something might be brewing in the desert. Let's go see what's going on. And the more and more that we, win, and the more and more that we compete and look like an actual NFL organization, the more and more respect that we'll get. And those narratives become less narratives and they become more actuality, like more of what's really going on in the desert.
I agree with you. I'm with you 100% on that one. So about 70 minutes in, had a good little off-season recap. A couple of our early camp thoughts. Also went over the schedule. So if you missed it, live, please check out the entirety of the episode for sure. Do you have anything else to say? I know I had one thing to say. Brand Boss LLC. I don't know if anybody's heard of this or not. This clown show of the act. Brand Boss LLC. So Brand Boss LLC is what was it described as a high school recruiting tactic / promotional group / a talent evaluation business.
NIL,
to help high school athletes, get recruited and get scouted and get to colleges and stuff like that. So they sell packages. I think they had a silver, a gold, and a platinum package. The highlight of the package, mind you, the packages are thousands of dollars, by the way, guys. So any high school athletes, they're thousands of dollars for these packages.
Oh, man.
The highlight of the package is to allow Stephen Keim to talent evaluate you and say what you are based off of that. Any high school athletes, I'm going to let you know about this right now. This is a ripoff. It's a ripoff. All you need to do is check his track record when it comes to talent evaluation. I think it's an absolute scumbag move of him to do something like this. I'm tired of seeing him on TV. I'm tired of seeing him on draft evaluations. I don't care if you are a former NFL GM. He's going to have a career like Mike Tannenbaum. We know Mike Tannenbaum on ESPN. He is a clown show for sure. He literally suggested that we trade picks so we can get J.J. McCarthy at number 4. I think that is the most clown thing I've ever heard. But Stephen Keim doing this, he might take the cake with that. Those are two guys. They need to never be in the NFL buildings again. Mike Tannenbaum and Shaw, you mentioned earlier about how the Jets were so bad. Guess who was the head of them? Mike Tannenbaum. Literally. So outside of one season with Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler having success, and then Bruce Arians leading the way when it comes to the actual men on the football field, there's no success in Steve Keim. There's no talent evaluation. You're batting about 150 when it comes to draft picks. That's not good at all, especially when it comes to first rounders. You got lucky a couple second rounders here and there, a couple gems at the end of the draft, some guys that just fell down to you that you got lucky to get. But do not sell a talent evaluation package to high school athletes who are actually looking to go somewhere with their careers. Your career is done. I don't know who needs to tell you that. You're getting millions to sit on your ass. Your career is done. I want you to turn your comments back on, Steve Keim. Please turn your comments on TikTok. I would love for you to not be scared and put your comments on TikTok, and let's see what you can really do. Because that is, to me, that's just a clown show. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah, I'm reading some of this stuff. So for the silver evaluation, it says $2,000 for just a written summary from Steve Keim and a 30-minute face-to-face.
Wow, shit.
That's it. That's all you get.
For $2,000, a 30-minute evaluation.
You get 30 minutes. You get a 30-minute FaceTime call and a write-up from him summarizing your talents. Yeah, it's not worth it.
This guy drafted Isaiah Simmons number 8 overall in the draft. He did that because mock draft said so. I could not believe when I saw that. I could not believe that he's actually doing it. I couldn't believe that he's putting his face to it. And I can't believe there's an LLC behind it already. Like that, the fact that whoever's doing this company with him, you guys need to drop it, because I do not know a single person that will want to sign up to get that package. And if you're getting that package, your parents must be rich and they have $2,000 to blow, because that would be the only reason. You can spend $2,000, sign up for a 7-on-7 team and become better in that version. They can put your film out there to coaches. That can be a way to get yourself out there. You don't need a written evaluation from Steve Keim, who, like I said, is batting 150 when it comes to first round picks that he's had for probably 10 plus years. So like, let's not do this now. Let's get some reality back. Like I'm so happy what I'm seeing with the Cardinals, but then I go and see that and I just get disgusted and I want to throw up. Like, and it makes me so mad that he's able to do that. Like I said, he's always on TV nowadays. He's showing up in these draft evaluation stuffs. Please, no. Just no. Let's end that right now. So that was just my hot take. I just wanted to get that off.
Corey always got a rant at the end of the pod.
1,000%. So, like I said, about 75 minutes in. Do you guys have anything else for the pod before we head out today? I think we'll probably catch you guys. I would say, after the first preseason game, I guess it's who do we play? The Saints, right? I think it's the Saints.
I think it's the Saints. Yes. Yeah, Saints.
So we can probably catch you guys after this, next preseason. After this preseason game, we'll talk it up. Probably we'll only see guys maybe about a series or so. But I would love to see, Marv versus the Saints ones. Hopefully the Saints DBs ones. I would love to see Kyler Murray go out there for a possession or so. And like a big thing has been made about him in preseason, but as he mentioned the other day, like he's going to do what the coaches tell him to do. So Jonathan Gannon wants him to go out there and play preseason. Colt McCoy played, a possession or two in the preseason last year. So why wouldn't Kyler, in my opinion? So I think we'll see him out there in preseason. What do you guys think?
I would say so. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I think he's going to play in preseason. The last thing I want to say is football's back, but the Bears suck for not letting Caleb Williams play on Thursday.
Oh,
I don't know why they don't want to throw him out there. He needs the reps. He's a rookie. Don't get twisted. Even though he's the number one pick, don't get twisted. He's a rookie. Right. Let him play.
I thought it was weird that they play each other this season. Like they start the season versus each other. They play each other week 1.
And they play in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they play in the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. No, I don't know.
Let me make sure that was correct when I saw that, because I was like, I know they played each other, but like, are they playing each other as well in the season? And turns out
they don't play each other. They play they do. They play the second.
They play September 15th.
Yeah,
Sunday Night Football.
Yeah,
crazy.
It's kind of weird. I've never really seen that like that. So,
why do Bears got a Sunday Night Football game that early?
The name Chicago, major city in America. They need to be put on TV. Literally the only reason.
Early.
That only. I mean, CJ Stroud is the excuse they'll use is that CJ Stroud is leading the cause on that one. But I guess now. So, but yeah, you guys have anything else before we head out?
I would say noticing so far in camp versus camp, Neighbors looks, I will say, a lot faster and more explosive than Marv. However, I truly believe that Marv is kind of like going at like 80% speed right now, camp wise. I think he's trying to like stay healthy, not rush in too quickly. It's a long
Malik Neighbors is catching hospital balls, bro. Malik Neighbors is catching hospital balls. He's diving all over the place.
Marv caught a hospital ball today. I don't know if you saw the highlight against Garrett Williams, but he got rocked.
To me, that was a great back shoulder throw, in my opinion. And he caught it on his opposite shoulder, fell down a little bit, but Malik Neighbors is diving all over the place. It looks good and all. I mean, it looks great. Obviously, the Giants' corners suck ass. Deontay Banks, I don't know what the hell you can do. You cannot do anything with Malik Neighbors right now. But I mean, he's diving all over the place, But his time will come. I'm not worried about that battle right there. Like, to be honest, in their offense, they just lost Saquon, so they need to feed the ball to somebody.
Right.
And it'll be him. So he'll get a lot of stuff. But
my point in saying it, though, like I really do think that Marv is kind of like going at like 75-80% speed. I do remember he touched on like talking to his dad about the transition from college to the NFL, how it's so much of a longer season. And, you know, like you don't want to hit that rookie wall, as they call it. But, yeah, I don't think he's like fully unleashing it, because there's been a lot of side-by-sides between Mike Wilson and Marv. And, dude, Mike's been a lot quicker in getting to spots faster in side-by-side stuff. So I don't think Marv is going all out just yet, which is fine.
Mike got a spot to win.
Dude, that's
somebody got somebody on his ass, right?
Bro,
Dude,
Mike Wilson, dude, he has looked phenomenal so far, and so is Dortch. Like, dude, and we haven't even talked about him at all. So does Zay Jones. Like, he is also looking so good, and they're saying like this is gonna be the first time that the Cards go with 5 wide receivers since 2008, when they had the three-headed monster of Larry, Bolden, and Breston, who all went over 1,000 yards. So I don't know, man. Between Marv, Mike Wilson, McBride, like, there's a chance, man. There's a chance.
The offense has a chance to be something special for sure. Like 1,000%. There's weapons all over the place. A guy gets banged up, somebody can fill in for him. So, I know Nate Tice mentioned it today. Like we were working goal line. I think we were working some goal line scenarios, or red zone scenarios, and we came out on 13 personnel. And we shifted into spread offense, like a 5 wide spread almost.
Dude,
so it's
I've seen a clip of Tip Raymond catching a pass like 25, like 30 yards down the field. I'm
like, nothing but the tip.
And then I also seen they had Greg Dortch lining up in the backfield, which I thought that was pretty encouraging to see that they still.
Looks like I was selling Tip Raymond short. Like I was saying, he could be like a Kyle Juszczyk H-back, but it looks like they actually want to use him as a tight end. But
dude, I would love to use that guy as a fullback. That would be
literally
insane.
And you can, him and Higgins can mismatch and swap out with in and out of that. So it's like the versatility when it comes to all 3 skill positions, tight end, wide receiver, and running backs that we have, just absolutely night and day. I don't think Kyler has ever had something like this.
No.
When it comes to both youth and skill level. So it's exciting times for him for sure.
Dude, the thing is too, I've been seeing that apparently DeMercado is not going away. So
Lord.
Dude, I'm telling you, apparently he's having a phenomenal camp and he's making a push.
Like, a push for what? A push for a roster spot?
Dude, apparently
a practice spot.
Dude,
put that man a block on the kickoff. Like,
dude, it's not my report, but I'm hearing he's making a push for that backup spot. And like, dude, you got Benson, you got Carter. Like, I don't even know how that's possible, but apparently he's flashed a ton in camp.
I need that LeBron meme where he's in Denver, and that woman's like trying to spook him out a little bit, call him a crybaby. He's just, oh God, Amari DeMercado's making a scene. God forbid. 3 guys that are way better than him. I better not. I don't care what type of challenge that Jonathan Gannon gave him. Boy, you are going to the bench.
Dude, he did have that great TD run against the Niners last year, though.
Yeah.
Where they just forgot to tackle him.
They said, "Who was that guy?"
They made a business decision.
Make a wish kid touchdown.
They
just give it to him.
Come on.
DeMercado, if you make some noise,
I don't know, man. There's competition all over the team. I love it. I
will take that right there. That I will take.
I don't want him anywhere ahead of Benson or Carter, but it's great to hear that there's competition all over the place.
Mm-hmm. And I like you said, competition, and each group feels like a real tight unit. Like the receivers feel close. Only people that don't feel like haven't really seen Kyler mesh with the quarterbacks as much. But again, that'll probably come. They probably do that in the quarterbacks room. They have their thing together and stuff like that.
We could do without that, honestly.
I'm about to say the last thing I wanted to ask y'all about too was y'all saw that Josh Jacobs report saying that the Cardinals were like,
so he's interested in him.
Mm-hmm. That tells me that we're gonna see a lot of Trey Benson. So, and I'm excited for it.
If they were going to have James Conner on the roster still, and then still wanted to Josh Jacobs, they definitely want to do a lot of 2-back stuff, just running the ball heavily. So, I'm with that too. I noticed that, and Josh Jacobs can also catch out the backfield, which is a thing Trey Benson can also do. So, they were looking for that type of skill sets. You could tell power back with hands. They were looking for that for sure. So, that'll be interesting. That'll be exciting. I'm ready for it. I'm just ready, man. I'm just ready. Want to see this team get going and get rolling. Like we've had 2 rough years of injuries, running things back that didn't need to be run back, giving people extensions that didn't need extensions. Like now, I feel like this is the first time we're going into a season where it's like, or first time at least since 2021, maybe in my opinion, where you're going into a season where full focus, all wheels ahead, like geared up, ready to go. So I'm excited.
Last thing I want to
Hey, well,
ask.
look, guys, I'm gonna have to run here, so
All right,
I'm gonna
bro.
catch y'all boys.
We'll
Yes,
see you,
sir.
bro.
Good
All right,
seeing you,
okay.
Joe.
Go ahead, Jay. You can add your last comment for me.
Yeah, last thing I wanted to ask. So I'd like you to give me your receiving yards predictions for Marv, Mike Wilson, Dortch, Zay, and McBride. I just got to. I got to hear him. Start with Marv. We can go guy for guy.
The running back situation and wanting to run the ball and being very tight and heavily, it diminishes my yardage attempts a little bit when it comes to him, because me in my head I'm thinking the 1,200 off rip, but a little closer to around 1050, 1,100 I think for him would be a good year. Obviously, barring he plays all the games and stuff like that. But I think for him it'll be more so first downs. Like are you a chain mover in my opinion when it comes to third down? And then are you a red zone finisher? Like being that frame, that 6'4" frame, you want him and McBride to be red zone finishers. So I think for him, touchdowns probably might be more important for me, but I'll say around 1050 to 11 for him.
I agree. I would say 1075.
Yeah, that's a good range for him.
All right, how about Mike Wilson?
Mike, I don't know how pass happy will be, so I'll put him at just a little under 1,000, maybe around 925. Barring obviously again health and he plays most of his games and stuff like that. But you could tell the reporter he had with Kyler inside of last 3 games, and so you mesh that into an 17 game season. I would say around 929 to 925.
I'll say 850 there.
Okay.
GD.
I'll say I won't give him a receiving yard total, but I'll give him an all-purpose yard total. I'll put it at around 775.
I like that a lot, honestly.
Yeah, all-purpose yards 775, maybe 100 something rushing here and there, and then 600 passing.
I agree.
Another guy that's first down a chain mover guy. I think Mike Wilson I think Mike and Marv could be a big play people for us, but especially Marv and then Trey and Dortch will be chain mover guys, like guys that are just getting us first downs.
Right. I would say Dortch all purpose. I'll say 750, and then how about McBride?
McBride, I'm gonna go with a K. I think he deserves 1,000 yards this year. I'll do another 1050 to 1,100. Another 70 catches for him. I think that's a good number as well. 75 catches, because obviously he won't get as many this year, but at the same time you have Kyler and you're actually starting. And we know you're getting like a lot of play action will be happening with him. I put this out on Twitter. A lot of play action, wide boots, and then wide leaks from the tight end will be a staple in this offense. So he'll get a lot of reception yards down there, and then we know him run after the catch is a monster. So that'll be a lot of his yardage coming right there, obviously with the big play here and there. But I put him he deserves 1,000 yards. He deserved it last year. He would have got it last year if Josh Dobbs wasn't bad. So and if they gave him a chance earlier. So I'll say like another 1025, just cracking over 1,000. George Kittle just barely got over 1,000 last year as well. So I'll put it somewhere around there.
I agree. I would say between like 1015 and 1025, but I think he definitely gets it done. Then the X factor is Zay Jones.
I put that around 560, 565. Being a guy that can just come in when guys are needed. He won't have a lot of chances to play, in my opinion, if the offense is healthy. But he'll get his shots here and there, and obviously, clearly, you can tell Kyle based off of some of these early practices, Kyler trusts him, and that's a veteran. They mentioned both Texas boys as well, so they just had that connection right there. So if we know Kyler trusts, I mean, we know that we saw it with what's his name, light skinned dude, Antoine Wesley. And AJ Green, like two guys that aren't massive movers and fast guys, but big body frames, and Kyler trusts those guys to go get it. So and he usually gives them the chances. So I'd say around like 565 with maybe like 4 to 5 touchdowns. So that's a good number.
I like about 650 for Zay. I think he's gonna be more impactful than we may expect.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. good number. I mean, that would definitely put Kyler over almost over barely or basically over 4K passing right there. So
I was gonna ask you that too. Where do you see Kyler going? For me,
yeah,
I say he cracks 4,000 for the first time.
I can see 4K or if anything a little lower than 4K, maybe 3850, 3950. But even so, with that, like definitely over 25 total touchdowns, over almost maybe clutching close to 30 total touchdowns. I think if he can muster up at least 22 to 23 touchdowns, he can get 7 on the ground. That's easy.
Dude, so the crazy thing too is his passing total is, I think it's 33 or 34, and his
He should smash that.
total passing touchdowns is 21 and a half.
Yeah, he should smash both of those.
So
Smash both of those for sure.
yeah.
So I'm excited. I think just like I said, you mentioned this offense could be top 5 to top 8. I think top 12 is a lock. I'll say this: a top 16 is a lock for sure. That's basically above average, and then you start talking about top 10 based off of how many points you score because I think it will be a ball control team. I think this team will still be a team that wants to hold on to it a lot more than the other team does, and we noticed that in a lot of our games when we held on to the ball more, we won the game. So that'll be interesting compare and contrast based off of what happens this year for that. So it's like I'm excited.
What do you think our average point score is going to be around?
I mean, we know best team. We were 20. I think we were 23 or 24.4, 23.7 or 24.4. Those are the two numbers that are popping up in my head when Kyler got back from week 10 to week 18. So I think in around that ballpark as well. Like if you could add maybe 2 points to that, a point or two to that number, like that gives you, if you're averaging 25, 26 points a game, you should be winning a lot of your football games. Like, so outside of the defense being historically bad, I'm around 20, 25, 26 points per game with this offense, especially with the influx of talent that has come in. And like I said, everybody being healthy. So 25, 26.
I like that. I agree. Last question for you in this little lightning round.
Mm-hmm.
If your life depended on it, which game are we going to win next year? And if you could choose one game for us to win that would mean the most to you next year, what would those games be?
Life or death, what game will we win for sure? Green Bay Packers.
Wow.
I'm not high on them at all. If you
That's
can
crazy. I love
it. But and then what was the other point of it? I forgot what you said.
Which game would mean the most to you if we?
Oh yeah, which one? 49ers easily. 49ers.
Which one? Week 5?
Yeah, week 5. Obviously, if week 18 means something for them and we have to beat them to do something, then yeah, that too. But for any of the 49ers games, I'm tired of hearing them. I'm tired of hearing their mouth. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like,
yeah,
we hear their mouth about like, oh, we be punching on y'all. Like, y'all beat us when we're not healthy. Last time we were healthy and we played y'all, we beat y'all. So that's my opinion. Like, so obviously a Rams win would be fun. But just I'm just tired of playing. I just hate them overall. The 49ers are one of the more fraudulent teams that I think are going out there. And I think their quarterback is not as good as a lot of people want to put them at. And so I'll put him at, I should say. And so Kyle Shanahan, we know, is a crash out king. Deebo Samuel is a crybaby. Fred Warner is a dirty player. So is his running mate Dre Greenlaw. They're both dirty players. Nick Bosa is a Nick Bosa. I don't know. So, but yeah, 49ers 1,000% will be the team I would want to beat badly next year. Like that's one team I want us to win.
Yeah, I like that. I would say the game that I know we're going to win is in Arizona against the Pats. There's absolutely no way we don't stomp.
I wanted to say that, but I wanted to get spicy. I know people will.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. And then I would say game that would mean the most. I think I'd agree with you. Week 5 against the Niners. If we're able to win that game that early, well, not even that early. If we're able to win that game at that point in the season, I think it'll just set the precedent for where the season can go and like what the team could be in 2024. So I think that would be absolutely massive. And if we're able to win that game, man, I'm gonna be on cloud 9 for a week straight. So
if there's one game that Kyler for sure wants to win, it's week 4 versus the Commanders. We all know why. No reason to hide it. That guy wants to beat that guy. Beat their ass badly for sure. So
actually, I'm probably more confident in winning that game than than the Pats. I think we're, like you said, that's
in a realistic world. That's my answer too. But Packers. That I have so much money with friends saying that we won't win that game that I've already put a lot of money on that. So I have to buy faith in that one that we're going to beat them.
I love it. I got to ask too, have you touched the playoff line at all? Plus 300?
I have not. No, it's very intriguing though, for sure. Like I feel like the fact that it's plus 300 to begin with is already a sign that, you know, this team is in a good spot. Like, no way would a 4-win team the next year have a plus 300 win total outside of the Chiefs, like missing Pat Mahomes for the entire season. Like, so it's like the Vegas lines are starting to trend towards the Cardinals, and you can tell based on like that plus 300. Division's hard. To win the division is hard, but I feel like that plus 300 is saying, can you be the, let's say like Niners win the division, Eagles win their division, Lions win their division. Let's say just for shits and giggles, Bucks win their division again. So those are the 4 teams. I feel like that plus 300 is saying, can you be better than, you know, either Chicago, Minnesota, or Green Bay? Can you be better than the other 3 NFC South teams, or can you be better than, you know, the Cowboys? Like, I feel like, and the Giants. I feel like that's what that's saying. So it's like, and when you mix us into that group of teams, then you start talking about, well, let's say the Rams get the other playoffs. Let's say the Rams get the one other playoff spot. And then, you know, just because everybody thinks they're good, the Packers will get the other playoff spot. So now you got Vikings, Bears, Dallas, the NFC South teams, and then the Cardinals all fighting for that last playoff spot. And I think we're better than all of those teams combined. So it's like, you know, I'm buying in on that plus 300. I wish it was a little bit higher because I think like if it came down to public perception, that number would be higher. But Vegas, we know Vegas is sharp, so that plus 300 is definitely a number that's intriguing, and I would love to take it for sure.
Yeah, no, I would love for you to ride that with me. And pause. But dude, funny enough, the Pats too were a 4-win team last year, and they're plus 900 to make the playoffs.
And that obviously right there, that
to your point,
see what a quarterback, the difference of a quarterback makes, like the difference of a year 2 rebuild versus a year 1 rebuild, what it looks like. So definitely for sure. So like I said, we're looking to catch y'all probably after this Saints preseason game. I think we got about a week until then, week and a half until then. So it was a good catch up with my guys. Glad to have everybody back. Excited for season 2 of Cardinalytics. Bigger and better. Hopefully get, you know, we'll try to get some stuff, maybe get some more guests on this year. I know we had my boy Miles on, and then a couple. I don't know if we had any other guests yet, but looking to get some guests hopefully in the future. So excited for this season, my boys, and can't wait.
Yes, sir. Happy to be back. Good talking to you, Corey. We'll
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. So we will see you guys on the next one, man. Peace out.